When I was a little girl, my mother used to look me dead in the eye and tell me over and over again, Mona, if you don't tone it down, no one will ever love you. So I grew up thinking I was too much, always too much. Sometimes too enthusiastic, other times too loud. I attracted too much attention, had too many wishes, wants, needs. You see, I was alive when I was a kid. I was happy, violently happy. And then, because I was told to tone it down, I curated myself so much that I managed to cut that joy right out of my brain. And I became dull, rough around the edges, jaded, sad, and hopeless. I became quiet, careful. I dimmed my light. I started watching myself in every room. I started editing my thoughts before I even had them. By 12 years old, I became a shadow of the child I used to be. But the thing is, the fire didn't go out. It just went underground. And it turned into pain and anger and rage. I turned it against myself and I spent years hiding my power. I didn't lose my mind. I buried it deep inside me because the world told me it was a weapon. And you know what? They were right. Because although I was keeping it a secret, some people, many people in fact, felt it anyway, and they pulled back. Some envied it, women mostly. Some tried to control it, men mostly. But most just told me, couldn't you be a little more like everyone else? And I tried. God, I tried. I tried so hard to fit in. I went out with them, I partied, I went clubbing, I smoked, I drank, I had relationships, I fell in love with some people fell in love with me. I had jobs, bosses, lovers, friends, and I pretended I was one of them. When I knew damn well, not for a second have I been one of them. Did we go through the same emotions? Well, yes, of course. We're all human and we all experience, namely, the same few emotions over and over again. Did the same events cause the same emotions? Hell no. I laugh at funerals and I cry at sunsets. So, hell no. So I faked it. For many, many years, I was miserable. But to tell you the truth, I really didn't know any better. I wanted something else, but I didn't know I could get it. I felt the power inside me, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I was feeling more and more miserable as the years went by. Until one day, I stopped just for 1 second and asked myself, what am I even doing this for? What am I getting out of it? Because none of us does anything without a reward, without a payback. Even when we choose things that ultimately hurt us, they still have some hidden reward attached. Well, the ultimate purpose for doing anything is to feel good. And I no longer remember why I was doing it before, but at the moment I was asking the question, it was very obvious to me. I was no longer driving any pleasure out of it. They wanted me to be nice, to be small, to smile while I bleed. Well, fuck that. I finally figured out there was no point to it. Yes, they accepted me. They liked me, they wanted me. But you know what? It wasn't me they liked. It was the mask, the performance. And you know what more? I didn't like them. I didn't like their small world, their numbness, how they all wanted the same things. I didn't like that they enjoyed cruelty of all sorts, that we just didn't vibe. I didn't like that I struggled to be one of them, and even so, I was doing a poor job. I didn't judge them too harshly, though. I know some of them were probably doing the same thing I was doing, pretending to fit in. They were probably just better at it than I was. And they took it one step further and did all the things society demanded of them. They got the job, the family, the children, the expensive car, the brand clothes, all that. You know, the works. I didn't, because I didn't care about any of that. And I realized I was okay with what I chose for my life, even when they weren't. And I couldn't care less what they chose for theirs. I didn't ask them to be like me. I just stepped away, because there came a point when I realized I'm not broken. I'm just not willing to play along. I'm not part of the majority. Okay, I'm a small minority. I'm a misfit. And instead of pretending I wasn't one, I decided to embrace it. That's when I started being who I really was. So today, I'm a writer and I'm a painter and now a YouTuber. However, still a misfit. But this is the part of my journey where I stop waiting to be invited and I'm going to start building. This channel, Way Out of Line, is the world I couldn't find out there. So I decided to make it myself. A soothing place for misfits, a place where we belong, a home. It's not for everyone, but it is for whoever feels like they needed more. They need to understand more, be more, expand more, but conform less. It's for the ones who feel everything. Those of you who are told your sensitivity was a weakness and your wants ridiculous. Those of you who've been shamed for their rage and their softness and their wildness. Those of you who've been shamed for everything, especially daring to be you. The ones who feel like they're from another planet, and honestly, maybe they are. Haven't you ever felt that maybe you're some alien dropped here from God knows what foreign planet, and you walk through life as a different species on a planet of humans? This is my everyday experience. Every day, I'm way out of line. I do something, I say something, I look a certain way. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm out of line and everyone can see it. However, this is not a place for fixing myself or you. I wouldn't know how to fix us, and we don't require fixing either. What we have is a power, not an impediment. Your soul doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be seen. So this will be a place for explaining the world and ourselves. A place for seeing through the bullshit of the world, and a place where we get to decide if we want to take part in it or not. Not taking part in it is a viable option, believe it or not. You can choose it, and the only ones who are going to judge you for it are probably the ones who aren't strong enough to make that choice for themselves. This is a place for coming home to who you already are, unmasked, unfiltered, unapologetically alive or barely surviving. So if you've ever been told to tone it down, if you've been hiding how much you feel, if you're sick of shrinking just to make other people comfortable, if you've ever felt like too much or too alone, come in. You don't have to make sense here. You can just relax, unmask, burn, and ultimately belong. I'll see you next time on Way Out of Line.